Well, hey pals, welcome back to Peeps Wax Packs and welcome to another kitchen one take. I've got some hand dipped 62s for you today. Freshly dipped. We dip them downstairs. They come out real clean. And so these have been dipped by hand, not by a machine. We've got a helper down there. I won't say their name. They don't want to be known. But I digress. They've just come up from the slab cellar, and I wanted to grab these. I've got 3 cards to show today, this being one of them, the one you see in front of you. Seemed like a good moment to show the 1962 Topps card number 1, Roger Maris. In 1961, of course, Roger Maris broke the home run record, breaking Babe Ruth's record of 60. And Topps recognized that by making Roger Maris card number 1 in the 1962 Topps set, which I think is super cool. Me and my dad had, we have a copy of this ungraded. It's pretty banged up. It's back at Peeps Wax Packs headquarters in Minnesota. But I got to thinking, I'd like to have a nicer copy of this card. Graded copy. And so last year I spent a lot of time looking at copies of this card. If you know anything about the 62s, they're wildly off center much of the time. Some people don't like this wood border, the sort of wood border. I've really come to like it. The peel off poster design, I think it's very clever. And but that didn't make a difference in terms of quality control. It's just really tough to find nicely centered copies that aren't all banged up. Another thing about this card, and many of the 62s, including the mantle, is that this dark background back here, it is notorious for paper loss, and you'll see snow back here very often. I don't know if it's like the black ink, the darker inks that have a harder time holding on to the paper, but you'll often see snow running across here. And surface is definitely, I've mentioned it before, it's my number one concern. This had both. This had pretty good centering, and the surface is great. No complaints there. It's just a really nice looking card for the assigned grade. And I recommend, if you're really wanting a card for your permanent collection, focus on that card. And then, if you look at enough of them over time, you might find one in a lower assigned grade, like here, the SGC 4.5. And that brought this card, down into my budget. When you see these cards in like PSA 6, 7, they're going to be very expensive. And I just thought this looked just as good as a lot of those did. And I do enjoy SGC holders for vintage as well. I think this card just looks really nice in the SGC holder. The other 62s I have are in PSA holders, and that's fine too. But anyway, I digress. The 62 Topps card number 1, Roger Maris, I thought it was particularly relevant as Aaron Judge is seeking to break Roger Maris's American League home run record. I thought I'd bring that one out. And it's been freshly dipped, hand dipped. So, it's a good time to show them. This is another one I got a while back. This is also from last year. The last card I'll save. The last card I'll save for last. The last card I got recently. So this card I got last year as well, and that is the 62 Topps Ernie Banks. So Ernie Banks was a household favorite. In my house, my mom grew up in Illinois, watching the Cubs and watching Ernie Banks. And one day I'd like to complete an Ernie Banks run. I'm nowhere near it now. I probably have 4 graded Ernie Banks cards. Maybe I'll do a little mini-sode on those 4 cards. I think there's 4. Anyhow, I've always really loved this shot of Ernie. It's just a beautiful picture, and I was really happy to land this last year. Again, I looked at a lot of copies of this. This happened to be graded a 6, and I think and it was quite affordable, I must say. And I think it was the reason it was affordable is because, you know, it doesn't have the best centering. However, the surface is great, so no complaints here. It's not like horribly centered, but it's obviously thin along the right-hand side and along the top. But anyhow, my neighbor seems to be sawing something, so I hope that's not too distracting. It's a nice clean back as well. Ernie Banks, legend. Just couldn't pass that one up. Made sense in terms of trying to get that Ernie Banks run moving forward. I am a long ways away though. And last but not least, the last hand dip 62 I just got recently, and this was just a steal in my opinion. It is the 62 Topps card number 70, Harmon Killebrew. The killer, one of the greatest home run hitters of all time, Harmon Killebrew, 573 homers. And when I was a kid, that was good enough to be in the top 5 or 6, you know, sort of like pre-steroid era. Anyway, Harmon Killebrew, a legendary twin. This is one I didn't have, and it just, the price was amazing. And look at the centering on this one. If you've looked at a lot of 62s, I'm telling you, the centering like this is not easy to come by. Even the corners are awfully nice on this 5. The back is nice and clean. So, you know, do enough looking, and I did look at a lot of these, as I did with those other 2. But you look at enough of them, and eventually you'll run across one that looks really good for the assigned grade. And that's just, you know, I know I'm not the first person to sort of explain that process, but I just thought this one looked fantastic. Harmon Killebrew, legendary twin, is going to close it out. And that's it for all my hand-dipped 1962 Topps. I think those are all 3 of my graded 62 Topps. So there you have it. Thanks for coming by, and take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.